In May 1973, a team of 9 seasoned cave divers embarked on a journey to explore the underwater cave of Mount Gambier, Australia. Although 8 divers entered the cave's depths, only 4 managed to resurface. Back in 1938, a confused farmer's discovery of a mysterious hole in Allendale East, South Australia, led to the unearthing of the shaft. In the 60s, a diver was lowered into the cave opening for the first time, reaching depths of 21 meters. But the true scope of the so-called bottomless cavern wasn't mapped out until 1984, as a result of 73 mapping and photographic dives by the CDRBA research group. Nestled in the limestone of South Australia, this cave has a main chamber stretching 460 feet long and 260 feet wide. The water level hangs about 23 feet below ground, and the opening is quite wide at this spot. Right under the surface, there's a rock pile shooting down to a minimum depth of 118 feet. On venturing further, a tunnel extends northwestward, delving to around 260 feet deep. Another tunnel heads east, reaching an impressive maximum depth of 407 feet. Given the cave's size and the significant drop, divers and gear are lowered separately into the chamber. On the 26th of May 1973, a group of 9 divers arrived at Mount Gambier in South Australia with the intention of cave diving at the shaft. On the 27th of May, the group completed a successful dive, extending a guideline 150 feet into the water and reaching the rock pile directly below the sinkhole entrance. They returned after a brief exploration of the rock pile perimeter, with plans to continue their exploration the next morning. On the 28th of May, John Bockerman, Peter Burr, Christine Millett, Glenn Millett, Stephen Millett, Larry Reynolds, Gordon Roberts, and Robert Smith planned to dive, while the 9th member, Joan Harper, decided to stay behind, offering support from the sidelines. With their cylinders refilled and spirits refreshed, the group arrived at the sinkhole and descended to the rock pile. The divers hadn't planned to venture beyond the edge, a narrow sloping passage in the cave's main chamber, far from the sinkhole's natural light. The rock pile marked the safe limit for recreational diving. Beyond lay a dark, uncharted expanse filled with loose silt and limestone rubble. As they descended, things seemed fine, but the group overlooked vital safety measures right from the start. The shot line didn't reach the cavern floor. The team wasn't equipped with extra air tanks, and proper air management strategies were neglected. They hadn't designated diving partners or used any safety guidelines, mainly due to the confined space. Robert Smith, who'd explored this sinkhole 8 times before and crafted the dive plan, hadn't anticipated his group going so deep into the cave. On reaching the rock pile's edge, nitrogen narcosis hit Smith at almost 180 feet. Recognizing the symptoms, he signaled his return while the group wanted to continue exploring. Smith circled the rock pile for 8 minutes, searching for animal bones. In the distance, Glenn Millett's torch signaled his return. Glenn, mindful of his air supply, realized he was running out of time. He tried to alert his sister, Christine, but they were separated before he could. Smith and Glenn resurfaced together only to find Larry Reynolds had returned. Moments later, Peter Burr emerged, his tank nearly empty. Realizing the others must be facing similar air shortages, Glenn swiftly grabbed a spare tank and dove back down. At 225 feet, he reached the precipice where the underwater cliff dropped away. There, he discovered his brother Stephen's torch and camera. But as visibility was almost zero due to silt out, Glenn had to decompress and resurface. An ambulance had already arrived and Peter Burr returned for a final look, but found nothing. The grim reality sunk in. They were searching for bodies, not survivors. At the end of the planned dive, the surviving divers had seen Christine and Gordon struggling to ascend, but they were disoriented and swam upwards into a ceiling dome instead of swimming along the slope. This was the last time the two were seen. Trapped by nitrogen narcosis, surrounded by silt and limited visibility, Christine and Gordon's desperate search for an escape proved futile, and their bodies were eventually discovered beneath the ceiling dome they had failed to escape. At another point, and around the same time, a survivor saw John Bockerman, possibly consumed by the effects of severe nitrogen narcosis, unknowingly swimming deeper into the cave, unaware that he was swimming to his death. His lifeless body was discovered 20 feet further from where he was last seen. Stephen Millett, the 4th victim, was last spotted disoriented beneath the cave ceiling just before the surviving divers emerged. While his torch and camera were recovered near the rock pile's base, his body was found under an overhang at a depth of only 50 feet.